I believe that says 22 days. Yep, 22 days and thousands of emails to pour over, all connected to the Clinton campaign. Now, the latest emails from WikiLeaks now exposing how Clinton's campaign pushed to embrace all the Clintonness of the last 40 years. In an email to John Podesta in 2015, top Clinton aide Jennifer Palmieri writing, make a virtue of her longevity, refusal to go away, embrace all the Clintonness, the 40 years in politics, the decades on the national stage, etc. Maybe folks had Clinton fatigue at one point. Now they are just seen as part of the fabric of America. Our next guest says this is a prime example of how Hillary is considered by some as inauthentic, and he voted for President Obama in 2008. Joining us right now is columnist Michael Goodwin from the New York Post and FoxNews.com. Michael, are you surprised about that strategy? Embrace the Clintonness?
Well, what struck me about that email, Brian, which it goes on, there's quite a long trail to it, it is essentially this idea that we don't really know who she is. She doesn't know who she is. Her staff doesn't know who she is. Let's portray her this way. There's one line that says, the media will buy this, as though she has to pretend to be somebody she's not. And I think it's true that in the end of the day, she doesn't know who she is, that this inauthenticity rap on her is very fair because she is so calculated about appealing to the middle class. Every politician has to appeal to the middle class. That's where the votes are, as Willie Sutton might have said. But this thing that she can't do it naturally just jumps out off the pages.
Huge one. And you know John Podesta is going to be basically running the country if he becomes chief of staff, because, you know, the damage he did for Barack Obama getting the whole executive order thing done. He says this, just can't go overboard and tie her personal story too much to the middle class. She was certainly raised middle class values and work ethic, but her strength and distinguishing characteristic as a candidate is one that she's the one with the experience and tenacity to get the job done. She's been a long time she's been in middle class. Remember, she went off and said, you know, I left, I didn't have a dime when I left the White House.
Dead broke.
Right.
Yeah. Look, I think this is more of the same. This is trying to calculate who she is. And I think that is one of the things, not just with her, but with politicians in general. People don't want this calculation. They want authenticity, which, of course, is one of the reasons why Donald Trump has done so well.
And one of the reasons why Donald Trump hasn't is because he's gotten in his own way, stopping people from really looking at some of these revelations here by coming out, going after Miss Universe and going after with the women who have come forward and dwelling too much time on that. Up until Wednesday, we have a situation where it's a 4-point race. Do you know in July it was a 4-point race? Right. So if you were to believe the Washington Post and ABC poll, you're going to say it's a 4-point race. What does Donald Trump have to do?
Well, look, I think that talking about authenticity, he's authentic to a fault. He never seems to stop being this one kind of person, and I think he could use a little bit of that Clinton campaign advice, which is to focus more on what message you want to convey. And I think that is the key thing for him at the final debate, is what Donald Trump do you want the country to see in this last debate?
You also point out that in your column yesterday about Michelle Obama getting all these plaudits for her great speech condemning Donald Trump. You see some hypocrisy there.
Well, look, as I said, the Democrats have this selective outrage. Bill Clinton was never attacked by Democrats over the sexual issue, or by the vast majority. Joe Biden says Bill Clinton was punished for his sexual indiscretions. Actually, Joe Biden voted against both articles of impeachment when he was in the Senate, as did every other Democratic senator. So this idea that Donald Trump is some monster, okay, fair enough, but then let's apply the same standard to people of your own party, and of course they don't.
And plus, all these women coming up from the 90s saying that Donald Trump did this or that, and they all get their sound bites. But there's a Juanita Broaddrick sound bite, evidently, of talking about how Hillary Clinton tried to intimidate her at a party. We can't get that tape out of NBC, but we were able to get the Access Hollywood, the raw footage from the Billy Bush interview.
Right. Look, Brian, I've written a lot about media bias and also the campaigns itself. I believe that if we had one single standard for everybody, this country would be a lot better off, and I think most Americans would trust their government more. But it's a sense that everything is tilted to favor people on the basis of partisanship rather than the actual real results that they produce. I think that is what is turning so many people off to politics.
All right, Michael, we'll talk to you more about it on radio if that's okay.
Look forward to it.
All right.